Greetings and welcome to another excellent World of Tanks video. What I have for you today is a video about how to score on a quote bad unquote artillery map. How is it possible that players like myself have good games in artillery on PILSEN? Well, it's probably because when people say a map is bad for artillery, they don't understand exactly what that really means. And they're giving you their subjective explanation, excuse, perhaps is a better word, for why they perform poorly. So we're going to show you this match and explain what happened and see, how that stacks up in your own experience, if you have any, as artillery on this map. It might be kind of interesting. I'm not exactly sure because I do this as it comes up. This is very improv. This is not something that I go and plan out, because it would lose kind of the authentic feel of how it's happening and unfolding before your very eyes. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video and leave a like, spread the word, etc. But now let's go and step into PILSEN, shall we? Greetings and welcome to another excellent World of Tanks video. What I have for you today is a video about how to score on a quote bad unquote artillery map. How is it possible that players like myself have good games in artillery on PILSEN? Well, it's probably because when people say a map is bad for artillery, they don't understand exactly what that really means. And they're giving you their subjective explanation, excuse, perhaps is a better word, for why they perform poorly. So we're going to show you this match and explain what happened and see, how that stacks up in your own experience, if you have any, as artillery on this map. It might be kind of interesting. I'm not exactly sure because I do this as it comes up. This is very improv. This is not something that I go and plan out, because it would lose kind of the authentic feel of how it's happening and unfolding before your very eyes. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video and leave a like, spread the word, etc. But now let's go and step into PILSEN, shall we? Welcome to PILSEN, a quote-unquote bad artillery map. First things first, I use a SEXTON 1 American. So when people say this is a bad map, they might be using different artillery. Artillery like the M7 Priest or the German Vesp or French Lorraine or Soviet Su-26. Although the Su-26 probably would also be more similar to the Sexton because it has a faster reload. Now this was really a crazy match because this Luke's guy just came barreling in like a maniac. You can see him right here. And homeboy's about to get a beating. Because here's a shocker. He's dead, Jim. Oh, I'm sorry, Locust. It was not a Luke's. So, that was very fun. He was shocked, no doubt, as people would be if the NBA players were playing defense, because normally in this game you don't see a lot of defense being played. This was the exception to the rule, and they were on him like ducks on a June bug, as the saying goes. And he didn't last very long. So here, I had moved out of the way of the base. Now the Locust was looking for me, obviously, because Locusts tend to be played by people who aren't really very skilled. Oh, nasty. And their lack of skill comprises of an insatiable lust to find an artillery that has low mobility that they can kill. Well, he got to the base, found no artillery, and then was completely perplexed. Boom! Oh man, that hurts. Got him. And why there was no artillery, and then why everybody in town was shooting at him. Which that part was the best part. I'm not worried about who kills what. I'm just worried about being able to do my job. And that means I need to make shots and do damage first. Now, we would take the kills when we can get them, of course. As Bernie says, remove the gun from the fight. And if you can't remove the gun from the fight yourself, help remove the gun from the fight by damaging that gun. So, this is just a simple, head off to the side of the map, directly away from the base. Don't hang around directly on the circle on certain maps. This is one of the maps where I don't recommend you hang around the circle over here, because you're asking for it. It's very easy for enemy fast guys like a Locust or a Panzer 1C to get to you. Boom! But being, 100 yards away from the circle was just enough to mess with him. He was like, oh, he didn't have a clue. And that was because my guys were just drilling him. The life of artillery is like we're taking opportunity shots as they present themselves. Like this guy. What is this guy? This guy was... Oh yeah, Panzer 3E. That guy was a freak. Now here what I'm doing is trying to get, a little less exposed. Not quite below the horizon. You see, I'm very close to it though. Now the artillery has showed his face. In fact, I didn't even mess with the artillery. I was so concerned. This Panzer 3E guy was just a maniac. He's clearly the number one threat because of his speed. Oh, yeah. Now, I killed that VZ-38 when I saw him because he was moving at a much slower rate. And that would help defensively. Remove the gun, as Bernie says. And then we're able to focus on the one guy here, which is the 3E, and I drilled him. He ran into that building. But you can't see that because there's nobody here for me to use a camera. And this is a war of attrition, as every guy dies. That just leaves fewer and fewer dudes. This guy's a freak, I'm telling you. You want a piece of me. Now I'm below the horizon as far as he's concerned. He can't shoot me. He's in desperation mode, trying to do whatever damage he can do, but he knows he cannot take even a reasonable splash damage shot. He's a dead man. I mean, I'm going to eat this guy for breakfast because the one thing he needs, and he didn't make it, was to get behind me. Oh, yes. Couldn't do it. So, it's like learning karate. There are things you do and things you don't do. And now we have the artillery. Unfortunately, there's nobody closer. I can't even get you a better view of this. Well, I can. I'll have to go nasty from his own perspective. I could do that. Sweet. And that is how you get 7 kills, almost 2,000 damage on Pilsen. All right, now we've reached the end of game screen where you can really see the results, in detail. A really good scoring match, obviously 7 kills, almost 2,000 damage, basically with another 200 plus assist damage. 14 direct hits also speaks for itself. One of the things about the Sextons that's fantastic, and it really helps on this map, is that when you properly set it up, you can reduce the reload time to just under 5.5 seconds. And that's one of the things that helps with the Sexton, as well as the SU-26, which also has a short reload, and it does less damage per shot. But its key factor is its short reload, meaning that you can hit guys, and when a guy comes up to you that it only takes like 100 points to kill, you can kill him relatively quickly and then keep firing. The problem with a more heavily damaging artillery like a Vesp or a Lorraine or a M7 Priest is that you have to wait the full reload when you're just, getting like a third of the damage of the shot. So that's one of the big negatives. You kill a guy who's charging you, he had low hit points. And you're like, well, I have to wait 8 or 9 seconds to get another shot. Which, in some cases like here, when there's more than one guy, there wasn't in this game, but if there's more than one guy, you're going to get butchered while you're waiting for your reload. And that's the problem. That's what makes the Sexton or the SU-26 much better choices for a map like Pilsen. Now, of course, you don't know what map you're going to get. It's random. So you choose your artillery and master it as quickly as you can, however long that takes for you to get. And you see the results in this game, because how you play it is very important. But the Sexton, one of its other properties is that it has a high silver bonus, 81%. So I had a really good game at 75,000 silver. You don't get that in any other artillery, except the other Sexton. I used the American. The British has the same exact stats. The only difference is that the British one will fire the explosive round further than the American. But the American Sexton has more hit points. 330 for American, 300 for British. And that's it. Everything else, I have tested it. I have a video on here about that test, and that test is that they are identical in every other way. Same rotation, same accuracy, etc., etc. Everything is the same except the hit points and the flight distance of the range of the explosive round. The armor-piercing round is exactly the same on both. So basically, the British version lets you shoot your explosive howitzer round 1,000 plus meters, and the American one's 750 or whatever it is. And that's the only difference. And for that shortened range for the American, you get 30 more hit points. So it's chocolate and vanilla. Both are awesome, but it's a personal preference. Wrong way. His preference is the British. He wants the extra range. My preference is the American. I want the extra hit points. Both of us have scored matches. Our top scores are over 3,000 damage in each one. He did eclipse my 3,011. He had like 3,080 something. So that's the direct comparison between the two of them. Both of us have done awesome stuff. His max score is a little bit more than mine. So that's the full disclosure of that. What kind of medals did we get? Top Gun for 6 kills, because we got 7. Bruiser, that's knocking out crew and or modules. Doing the most damage is high caliber, and second class overall. That's what's really kind of funny. Freaks like me, wrong way, etc. A bunch of other guys that I know, the numbers are just jacked up so high that you could have an awesome game. Like the other day, Brownie sent me a picture of his game. It was his first game of the day. In fact, I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's find it. This is the result that Brownie had sent to me, well, to our whole group actually. His first Sexton game of the day, which was March the 9th. So first one, he got a second or a first class badge because of the freak nature of artillery guys like myself, Wrong Way, and the rest of us. We're all guilty of pushing the numbers for ace badge just, into the stratosphere. At some point, it's going to be where no one's going to get an ace badge because the number's going to be too high. It was just crazy. So I got only a second class badge. No big deal. So, not too bad. That 3E guy, man, that guy was crazy, I'm telling you. He got around. Where's that Locust? The first guy that got his brains blown out. He does that all the time because they all do. It's just one of those things. So those are the numbers. So now me bucko, the Jolly Roger captain, and I'm working on his commander. As you can see, I'm closing in on getting that 6th skill. There we go. So one of the things I do in Sexton Artillery is that I, run these guys, build up the skills to 6 or 7 depending as a general rule, shove them onto another guy, tank, and then start again. At this point, I have all my commanders that are 5 skills or more. That's it. I don't have any commanders with less than 5 skills. So I do this with my Sexton. So you're not saying, well, that's all really good. Your score was great for, having 8 or 9 skills. Well, I don't have 8 or 9 skills. I only need, really, to be honest, to have a result like that, I only need 3. Reload, Born Leader, which is reload and aim, and then steady aim. After I get these 3, everything else is a bonus. This is armor in case they get close to me and it deflects some damage. And, prolongs my life several seconds more, which basically is going to usually add up to 1 extra counter shot from my gun at them. I don't have anything else. I don't have a camouflage, which I would put on here. I don't have a clutch braking for faster rotation on here yet, but I'll get it eventually. Actually, I'm going to get clutch braking here in about 36,000 and change points. Boom, that one. Next one, binoculars. After that, if I continue like that, I'll get camouflage. And just build up another artillery commander and then swap them out. So I'm bit by bit, I'm raising all the skills in my artillery commanders by using the Sexton as the machine to generate the points. And the reason I say this, let's go back to the end of game screen and look at the stats. The important thing here is you see in the orange box, the very bottom, blue experience, that's commanders. This was no commander boosters at all. Usually I'll average 5,000 plus per game. Every once in a while you get a game where you get shafted for whatever reason and you earn less. And then you have games like this one, which are, monster games where I averaged, in this game I scored more than double my average. Because that's the nature for artillery. If you have even a remotely decent defensive team, which I lucked into, you saw it at the very beginning, they were on that guy. If I have a remotely decent defensive team, sky's the limit on scoring. Because I didn't have to worry about getting overrun by a guy that was just blatantly faster and super hard to hit, being the Locust or a Panzer 1C or maybe a BT-7, things like that. So when you have defensive skill in your area, for myself, a score is anything is possible. Now, one of the things I did in this game, the important thing here is you see in the orange box, the very bottom, blue experience, that's commanders. This was no commander boosters at all. Usually I'll average 5,000 plus per game. Every once in a while you get a game where you get shafted for whatever reason and you earn less. And then you have games like this one, which are, monster games where I averaged, in this game I scored more than double my average. Because that's the nature for artillery. If you have even a remotely decent defensive team, which I lucked into, you saw it at the very beginning, they were on that guy. If I have a remotely decent defensive team, sky's the limit on scoring, because I didn't have to worry about getting overrun by a guy that was just blatantly faster and super hard to hit, being the Locust or a Panzer 1C or maybe a BT-7, things like that. So when you have defensive skill in your area, for myself, a score is anything is possible. Now, one of the things I did in this game that you saw was I maneuvered primarily against the Panzer IIIe. I didn't just sit in one position. I stayed in the same area, but I moved around to get the right shots, which is one of those things you learn over time with experience. You don't just, show up and go, oh, I'm an artillery guy. Look, I know how to move all these places and why I'm doing all these things. Because there's reasons that made me move to get better shots. The fact that there are fast guys were gone right from the get-go helped a lot. Except that 3E. And then he was a maniac. He never saw me because I wasn't at the base. I can't emphasize that enough. You didn't see me sitting in the circle or right next to the circle. And that's what he was expecting, because that's where most of his victims stayed, is right by the circle. So the fact that I wasn't where he was expecting me helped tremendously. And so he was driving around like a maniac, went around in circles, rammed the building. When he did that, I drilled him. Hit like probably 90% of his life in one shot. After that point, you saw him with 11 hit points. That didn't help. Actually, it was probably more than 90%, actually. But it was just really awesome. You got to pay attention. You got to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. So that's what it's like to play artillery on a, quote, bad artillery map. It's all in, taking what's available. Don't try to be greedy. I wasn't trying to make 7 kills. It just happened. I was making good shots. And you make good shots, you're going to get some kills, and sometimes you don't. But make the damage, because that'll make you a winner. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It would help if you could leave a like. Tell your friends. That way they could learn about this stuff. Possibly leave a like and possibly subscribe as well. So I got more stuff to do. I'll be working on those. It's great to have you here. Look forward to seeing you guys again in the future. And I'm out of here.